Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Quang, Director for Financial Affairs at AFEP, the French Association of Large Companies. We have 120 members, mainly French public companies, but also foreign companies with significant operations in France. And we are a member of European Issuers, the European association that brings together business organizations and companies from 15 member states or so. Well, first of all, I would like to thank QED for inviting me here and giving me this opportunity to talk to you and to be part of such a great panel. This is boilerplate language, by the way. Okay. And so I would like to address three topics today. The first one is a general statement about CMU that Lunia mentioned in her introduction. The second one is about the level 2 measures and the consultation documents that were published by ESMA. I didn't read all of them. Actually, I brought the consultation document on SME growth prospectus with me, but I fell asleep on the train, so I didn't read it. And anyway, I just went rapidly through the documents and picked up some issues I would like to mention today. And the third point is a more prospective view about maybe the next revision of the prospectus regulation, looking forward to it. So the first topic here, I would like to start with two figures. The first one is, since 2008 in France, we have lost around 3 million individual shareholders. And that's a problem. It's a very disturbing figure. It's dramatic because large companies offer shares to their employees and they have interest in having employees as shareholders because these shareholders constitute a stable long-term investor base. The second figure I'd like to mention is that in a report published yesterday or maybe Monday by a French association, Middle Next, which is the Association of Small and Medium Public Companies, they say that over the last 10 years, between 2006 and 2016, in UK, in France, and in Germany, over 600 companies have delisted from regulated markets. And so this is also a disturbing figure because it means that the ecosystem is slowly dying. Of course, there was the financial crisis and that kind of stuff, and I don't know, elections in Germany and international uncertainties and stuff, but it's still, these are dramatic figures. And we believe that at the time being, what is on the table with the CMU won't make a difference. This includes the new prospectus regime and the reason why we are here today. And if really we want to make things different, we want to change this trend, I mean, everyone has to do their part. All the stakeholders involved in the ecosystem, including law firms, banks, auditors, stock exchanges, and I'm talking about the fees, for instance. So that was the first topic. The second topic, let's get to the point. Let's get to the level 2 measures, because after all, that's what why you pay to be here. I mean, you actually pay to come here to listen to people talking about level 2 measures on prospectus regulation. Okay, well, what is wrong with you? Actually, on level 2 measures, there are two principles I would like to insist on. The first one is flexibility, because that's the only way to avoid redundancies and to alleviate the burden for companies, in particular for small and medium companies. The second one is you really have to make things simpler. You have to streamline everything. And in this regard, we are very supportive of ESMA's proposal to reduce the number of schedules. Because the more complex regulations are, the more scared or the more stressed companies are, and that's when they rely most on their lawyers, and that's when you get boilerplate language. So if you want to get rid of boilerplate language, get rid of all the complexity of the regulations. There is also one more thing I'd like to insist on. It's the incorporation by reference. For us, incorporation by reference is also key to alleviate the burden for companies. And we know, and I know from my experience, because before working for AFEP, I have been a regulator myself for 15 years, and I have approved my share of prospectuses, believe me. We know that some regulators don't like incorporation by reference. because it can impair the comprehensibility of prospectuses. So I know that when you incorporate by reference documents, you have to be careful. It depends on how you do the context and how you do the incorporation by reference and how precise the cross-references are. But it's something that really needs to be supported, and supported specifically by ESMA, including through its peer reviews, for instance, to make sure that there are no regulators that would refuse a company to incorporate document by reference. Now, just going very quickly through the consultation documents, I've picked up some points I would like to mention today. For instance, regarding the requirement for secondary issuance to file a statement of compliance with the Transparency Directive and Market Abuse Regulation, something I saw in the consultation documents. Of course, we would disagree with that. I don't think it's in level 1. Although, as Ronald mentioned, there are many key issues that have been discussed and decided in level 1. This one was not included, so we would disagree with that. We would also disagree with having a cover note of a mandatory cover note of 3 pages, just to explain who was the competent authority that approved the prospectus and what was its responsibility and role. I mean, we have that in France on French prospectuses, but it takes only 1 page. I mean, it's the cover page. I'm not sure we need 3 pages to do that. And once again, the idea is to streamline the process, to streamline the disclosure requirements, and not to add new requirements and build a layer cake. On the base prospectus for retail investors, do we really need to explain how to use the base prospectus and give a description of the program? I'm not sure, for one very simple reason, is that retail investors do not read base prospectuses. They don't read prospectuses, but they would never read a base prospectus. And that's why, and I will come to that in my last point, that's why regulators need to focus on the advertising and not the base prospectus. I know that there is also a new requirement to describe the issuer's future challenges and prospects. This is something that is recurring, and we have long, tiring discussions with regulators about that. I understand the need for issuers to give information about their strategy and objectives, but we should be really careful, because here we are dealing with some information that could be confidential and could be detrimental to the issuers if they have to disclose it. Okay. And some minor comments on, for instance, we regret that the requirement to disclose material contracts was not deleted, because really no one understands this item and what is required here, because it's material contracts not entered into the ordinary course of business. And in a way, there is the general principle that if it's material, then it has to be in the prospectus. It's also a pity that disclosure requirements on investments were not deleted, because this would be already in the financial statements. One very simple measures that could alleviate the burden is not to require information for directors over the last 5 years. This is still in the draft RTS. Well, I could go on like that for long, but I'm not sure that this is really the right time. Anyway, you will have the opportunity to ask questions afterwards. So I will move on to my third point. The third point is looking forward to the future and to the next review of the prospectus regime. I think it's time for something really different. And why is it time for something really different? Because maybe in 5 years, or maybe in 3 years, I will be walking in the street with my my smartphone, and I will receive a text message saying, "Hey, Mr. Tran, you are a shareholder of the company, and the company is issuing rights. Would you like to know more?" I say, "Yes." Okay. And then the company has made a major acquisition, wants to refinance the acquisition, and it's issuing rights for 1 billion. Would you like to know more? And I would say yes. And then my smartphone would tell me, if you hold 4 existing shares, you can subscribe to 1 new share. Would you like to know more? And I would say yes. then there would be a big caveat saying, we draw your attention on the prospectus that was filed with the French competent authority, but do you really think that at that time I would go look at the prospectus? No, never. So the question is, how do you regulate this? How do you deal with this? And so my point is that regulators really need to change the way they work and the way they review the prospectuses. I remember a time in France, the French competent authority, it was the COB, the Securities Commission, that was a long time ago. We would approve prospectuses in 2 days. Now really, seriously, 2 days. So how can you do that? And at that time, it didn't mean that it wasn't safe to invest in French companies, or that the French stock exchange was not a safe place to invest in. The thing is that if you want to approve the prospectus in 2 days, you have to monitor the financial disclosure and all disclosures of the companies on an ongoing basis. Every year, the company publishes its financial annual report. You read the report. You call the CFO, you call the investor relations, you talk to them, you ask them questions. And when they issue a press release, you read the press release, and if necessary, you engage with the company and you talk with the company. And finally, when the company files a prospectus, well, in fact, you know everything. So it takes 2 days to look at the characteristics of the offer and of the securities, and that's it. And that's the best ways to ensure investor protection. Because if you never talk to the company and you wait until the company files a prospectus at last resort because it's on the verge of going bankrupt, then you can spend days and nights arguing on risk factors. It's too late, and you have failed as a regulator. So my wish is really that for the next review of the prospectus regime, we will have something really different that would make a difference. Even, for instance, no approval for secondary issuances. Who knows? Thank you.